building Intrism Icon. Inside the box you get 4 wooden sheets, the 2 clear covers that are on the front and the back, a black marble, and the assembly guide. So here's the assembly guide, your 2 clear covers. They have a masking on there that will peel off, the marble, and then sheet A, sheet B, sheet C, and then sheet D. On sheet D, you can see we have 3 extra pieces here, along with an extra piece with the bendy lines. I'll set the acrylic and the marble to the side. We won't be needing those right away. We'll start by opening up the assembly guide. You get a sticker and a piece of sandpaper. The sandpaper is good for removing small burrs that are left over whenever you punch the wooden pieces out of the sheets. You can read through the helpful instructions here, but we'll jump straight into starting the build. For Intrism Icon, we designed the wooden sheets so that you completely use sheet A before you move on to sheet B. So we'll set the other ones to the side for now. On sheet A, you can see it says first piece here, so we'll punch this one out. For step 2, we look in the assembly guide and we find the outline of that piece. The outlines in the assembly guide are oriented in the exact same way as the sheet. So you can see here, this piece matches up perfectly with the piece over here. Now we'll attach these 2 pieces as it shows in step 2. So we'll orient the first piece as it's shown in the lighter gray color, followed by the piece from step number 2, like this, and then snap these together. All of this will stay together without glue, and you shouldn't need to apply too much force, but if something feels like it's not clicking into place and you need to sand it down a little bit, that's another reason to go ahead and use the sandpaper, sand down the notch a little bit, and then it should snap right into place. Moving on to step 3. Here I'll sand down this little burr that was left over. Then we'll take this piece and we will slide it into the slot here and then click that into place. Now moving on to step 4, we will grab this piece here. Moving on to step 5. For this piece, make sure that you don't push on the edges here and here. Try to push right in the middle. If you push too hard on the edges, since it's very thin here, it could split. For step number 6, it looks very similar to step number 7, which is right below it. So double check to make sure that you have the one with only the single notch here. Just like step 5 where we pushed in the middle of the piece, try to do the same thing with this piece. And you can kind of wiggle it back and forth until it's fully clicked in. And then same thing for step number 7. Now step number 8. For this one, make sure that the cutout here is on the correct side. And then slide this in, like that, and then push. For step number 12, this is the start of the first sub-assembly. So we'll take what we've already built, set it to the side, and we're going to focus on just this one for now. After step 14, you'll notice that these two cutouts should line up next to each other. For this step, similar to some of the other ones, just make sure that you push on this piece right in the middle and not on the edges. You can kind of wiggle it back and forth until it fits into place. For step 17, use this piece here and not the piece at the bottom. We do include an extra of this piece, so if you happen to break the little notch at the end here, we do have a spare. So now that we're done building this subassembly, we'll attach this one to what we previously made. So we'll take this notch here and fit that into the slot over here. Just like that. Give it a little push and then connect this part over to connect to that one. Next we'll grab this hexagonal ring here, and you'll notice all of these X's around the perimeter. You want to make sure that those are going to be facing inward towards the puzzle. We're going to be putting this one on the side that has all 6 notches and not the side that has just 4. Don't push too hard right at first with this one. Make sure that everything is lined up, and it should just fall right into place, and then you can push down. If it doesn't snap all the way in, don't worry. Once we put the other side on, we can push with a little bit more force easier since both pieces are on there. So we'll go ahead and grab the next one, and you can see this piece only has the 4 slots here, so we'll line those up. X is faced inward with the 4 slots, just like that. And with this piece on there, it's a lot easier to push between here and here. You can even use the table if you need, and just squeeze the 2 together. For step 22, we're going to start another subassembly, and now we'll move on to sheet B. For step 24, we have 2 pieces that look similar with this one and this one. Make sure to use the one with 2 identical notches and it's slightly wider. For step 25, you can use either one of these. They're both identical, and we do have an extra one included on sheet D as well. For step 28, this diagonal should match the angle of this edge. For step 33, it's also very important that this angle lines up parallel with this edge and with this piece here. So do not put it on like this, flip it around, and click it on like that. Now we'll attach this subassembly to the rest of what we have. Start with the notch here, like that, and then click in the notch up here. Just like that. Shouldn't take too much force. Piece 40 looks really similar to a future piece, so make sure you use the correct one. Now we'll attach this to the rest of the model. For step 47, it might feel a bit loose here, but the very next piece will lock it in place. And it's the last piece of sheet B. For this piece, make sure that you use the left slot and not the right one. Now we'll attach this to the rest of the model. Start with the slot here, push that in about halfway, and then push together this side. Okay, step 55. This is probably the trickiest piece to put onto the puzzle. With everything oriented correctly, start with this corner. You can kind of have it angled a little bit, like this, and then push this corner into place like that. And then click this notch into place. and then click this notch into place. Just like that. Step 65, this piece is optional. It makes the maze a little bit harder. I'm going to go ahead and use it. Now we'll grab the first piece of acrylic with the film on it. So we'll start by just peeling off this film. Usually a fingernail works best. You don't have to worry about scratching the acrylic underneath. If you were to use like a metal tool, there's a higher risk of scratching the acrylic. So we just get a corner lifted up and then pull. There we go. So this one, you can see we have the mounting slot here for hanging it on the wall. You can put this on either side of the puzzle. Just look at it and see which side that you might want to display outward. I think I'll want to have this side out. So we're going to put the acrylic with the slot on it on the opposite side. Just like that. Now we'll peel off the film from the other piece. And we'll put this piece of acrylic on the opposite side. Step 67, we'll grab this piece. Be careful when punching this out. You don't want to bend these parts too far, they could break. If it does happen to break, we do have an extra piece. You can see it says out right here. This means that this side should face outward when you're putting it onto the puzzle. So start with those two notches here and here, and then bend these around and snap them on. Now we'll move on to sheet D. Same thing here. The word out should face the outside of the puzzle. So now it should look like this. You'll notice that this side has an extra notch here, and that is for the final piece that we'll put on now. So now we have the whole frame clicked in. We're almost done. The final step is to grab all of these. You can punch all of them out at the same time. There's one short one, and I'll show you where to click that one into place. Starting with the piece that's shorter, it is still symmetric, so it doesn't matter which way you put this on. It goes here just to the left of the spot where the marble goes in. And then all of the rest are identical, and they click in around the perimeter. So there you have it. There is your completed Intrism icon. You can hang it up on a wall here, or you can set it on a desk or shelf, or even like this. Maybe use it as a coaster, whatever you want. To play with the maze, you just take the marble, pop it in, and then tilt all around until you get the marble in the center. So that concludes the build of Intrism Icon. We'll have another video linked right here for how to solve the maze.